How can you achieve and maintain business growth? Harvard Business School Executive Education is now accepting applications for a new program, Driving Profitable Growth. Taking place in Boston from October 25th through the 28th, this program focuses on business expansion and organizational growth strategies that can lead your company into the future. Learn more about this 3-day program for senior leaders by visiting hbs.me/growth. That's hbs.me/growth.
Blog Talk Radio.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the weekly edition of Sam Crow Radio. I had to stop myself for a minute there because I forgot what the hell show I was doing there for a second. This is usually out of the norm for Sin, of course, to be doing an evening show, so it's kind of out of the ordinary. So that kind of speaks volumes for the person that I'm going to be talking to tonight. For all of you that may or may not know or didn't happen to check my page, obviously the infamous Tommy Gunn is going to be part of our show this evening. So I'm excited. It kind of goes without saying. I was privy to have conversations with him, whereas the rest of you weren't. I wish I had a chance to do so because I have to say that I was pleasantly surprised. I wasn't quite sure what to expect, and now that I've had a chance to talk to him, I have to say that not only am I impressed, but intrigued and very curious as it relates to finding out more about him and finding out more about his life and his background, and, of course, obviously Sons of Anarchy, which is, I think, the general tie that kind of links all of us together. So I want to first and foremost say thanks so much to absolutely everyone who will be tuning in this evening. I wanted to remind everyone that typically the format goes where we have the first, roughly about 45 to 60 minutes into the show where I get usually the guest all to myself, in which case I try to ask as many interesting and intriguing questions as I can for the guest. And then I go ahead and I turn it on over to you guys, basically, to just allow you guys to call in and ask whatever it is that you want to ask or talk to him about. So certainly, try to be patient. I know sometimes it gets pretty clogged up and it's difficult to get through. So just do your very best, and I'll get myself in order here so I can try to get everybody on here as much as I can. Okay, looks like Tommy's calling in, so let's get him on the line. This must be Tommy Gunn.
Hey, how you doing?
Well, it's been an interesting day. I was running like a bat out of hell 5 minutes ago, getting kids settled, doing this and that. It's finally quiet, and here you are.
Oh, good.
Okay, good. I've come up with just a ton of questions, for lack of a better term. I want to just throw out my observations first. And I think I told you this, upon my first glance at you, the long blonde hair and the Harley attire and that boyish little grin that you've got, which is what I call it, because if you look at yourself, you have that Chester grin like, you don't know what kind of shit he's up to. Now, it's no surprise to me, or obviously many of the ladies out there, that they've even mentioned that he's not only is he hot, but they get hot flashes, and they're all a gaga over you. So I guess I want to kind of reiterate what I said earlier. I guess I envisioned you to be first and foremost being a film actor. I mean, if I were to walk up to you on the street, I'd be like, hey, that guy looks like an actor, certainly with less emphasis on being a biker, of course. Have others in the past kind of resonated those same thoughts? I mean, has someone said to you, hey, you know what, this whole biker profile kind of thing, it just doesn't suit you? Does that make sense?
Most everybody thinks of me as more of a musician out this
really?
way. Yeah. Because most of the 80s musicians are, they ride through Hollywood on their Harleys, and most of them still have long hair and leather. So, because I resonated from the 80s hair band metal that came out of California here in Hollywood in the 80s. So I still kind of carry that. But I've written, and with bikers and bike clubs and biker events, and so I kind of got into the biker world more than I was in the band musician. I still go to a lot of things, just not in it a lot more than around the biker community that I'm with.
Okay, I got it. Now, if I were to ask you which entity in your life that you hold dearest, meaning if I were to say to you, okay, character actor portrayal or being a guitar player, modeling, being a biker, what do you hold dearest to you? What do you cherish in your life most, and why?
I would say more of being a biker because I love to ride, and I've been riding a long time, and I have a lot of friends in the biker community. When out and about with me out here, everybody knows that a lot of friends see me on the show and different shows that I've been on, but I'm still just regular friends with everybody. I'm just a regular down-to-earth guy to everybody.
This is a good thing. Definitely.
I just have a job that I'm seen on TV.
And obviously, thankfully for most of us, we're very, very happy that we actually spotted you on television, namely, obviously, Sons of Anarchy, amongst other things. I want to stay on the whole biker thing for just a second. Now, do you come from a family of writers? I mean, is your whole family and siblings, actually, I don't even know if you have siblings, but your family in general, talk to me a little bit about that. Are they all writers, actors, kind of the same as you?
No, I'm the only actor biker in my family. But I met a lot of actors growing up because my father was a tow truck driver when I was growing up, and he towed cars in Hollywood and L.A., and I got to meet actually many television stars from my father towing their cars.
Oh, my God, really?
Yeah. And one of my father's towing business was pretty prominent in Hollywood, and he became very good friends, like a family friend to an actor named Sid Glassick that was in One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest.
Okay.
Glasses, and so he was actually around me a lot growing up, and I've seen him in like Hardcastle and McCormick, and then I've seen the One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest kind of later on, but, you know, I was into other TV shows like Dukes of Hazzard, and so when I saw him on there, then... But, yeah, he was a family friend, and so I got to meet a few different actors, and I never thought of myself as ever being on TV until things just kind of happened.
I gotcha. Now, as a writer yourself, obviously, I wanted to ask you, some guys go out and obviously just go for long rides. Some go for runs. I'm assuming that you do both. Can you tell me, out of all the places you've been or visited or the runs you've gone on, best one to date? I know.
Wow. That would be tough. Because I do many California runs out here, which they're campouts. I pack my tent, sleeping bag. I sleep at the run. I don't go get a motel. It's just I'm more of the sleep in the dirt kind of person. I camp at the run. Some people have bad health or things like that, and they got to get a room nearby, but I'm just kind of in the dirt, so to speak, at the run and in with people.
Okay, I gotcha.
But then there's a lot of, because I'm out of the Hollywood, Los Angeles area, and there's many of the Northern California runs that we go to that are campouts. Like Sturgis is more of a, kind of, a lot of people have seen Sturgis, but I guess I like a run where I'm kind of sitting around a fire with people at night until wee hours of the night until you fall in your tent sleeping. So I'm kind of more into smaller runs where you get to know everybody that's at the run and you're sitting at the bonfire all night.
Okay, I gotcha. And I assume also, have you done Daytona? Obviously, I assume you've done that. Some people say really good things about Daytona, too. I was like, I wonder if you've done there.
Actually, no. I've never gone all the way up that way.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm shocked.
It's going to be on the bucket list. I got to do it.
Okay. This is a good thing. We've now established something for him tonight, folks. He's now going to head out to Daytona. Yeah, I've heard some good things about that. And the other thing that I wanted to ask, go ahead.
Oh, well, last year I was in Sarasota, Florida, doing some other work, and Daytona was going, but I didn't travel down there because I traveled back across the country on the Highway 10 across the states.
Oh my God, look at that.
Yeah.
So the woman that rides with you has to be accomplished in terms of, she better be ready to ride for thousands and thousands of miles, I gather.
Yes.
Good luck with that, ladies. Just saying. Oh my God, my ass would be sore in the first 2 hours. I'm telling you that. I've been on a bike, but that's tough. I mean, it's an interesting ride, that's for sure. Now, talk to me a little bit about, and I don't want to get too intrusive here, obviously, but obviously you've made some choices as it relates to your career, and obviously you're multifaceted, so you do a couple of different things. So what's your family stance on that? I mean, do you find them to be just, you know what, Tommy, whatever you do, we're behind you, you've got our support, or have they just been kind of skeptical as it relates to your success, et cetera?
No, my family's been supportive of me through any of my endeavors in life. Through my other film career, my mother knew about it when I was young, because I was actually from 90 to 94, I got into the male stripping out here, which was pretty profitable.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So that was before I went into the film industry.
Right.
Yeah. So my mom was always real supportive of all that type of stuff that I was doing, because at the time, by that time, I'd already gone through I had a heavy drug and alcohol problem, playing in bands and getting in a lot of trouble growing up, and so I actually had a heroin overdose in 1988, and I ended up getting sober due to the overdose, and so I've been sober since, because near-death experience, I was kind of done with it, and for me, alcohol will take me back to cocaine and heroin, so I just refrained from that too.
Okay. And was it alcohol also an issue for you, or was it just more so the other type drugs?
Yeah, well, it was everything combined, because I drank a lot. Probably it was about a fifth of something a day, along with running around Hollywood, around all the bands, playing, a lot of drugs everywhere. Yeah, so I was more and more type of addict, and so yeah, it came to a screeching halt.
Sure, I imagine so, definitely. And I wanted to ask and touch on that a bit, since you've obviously brought it up, so it's kind of pushed it to the forefront. Obviously, you've been sober for a significant point in time. Two questions to that effect. First of all, because obviously you're in the entertainment industry, I mean, do you just think that it's a norm 90% of the time that addiction issues are something that just kind of plagues them as a whole because they're in the business or the pressure? What do you think causes such a plethora of addiction in your business?
Well, there's a lot of people, I would guess, there's a lot of people that drink in the industry, but now there's a lot of people that are sober in the industry too. And so there's a lot of people that are amongst the LA meetings that are very well-known actors. Some are on SOA, and I won't spill their anonymity.
I would hope not. I wouldn't ask.
Yeah, but there was many of us on there. So a lot of LA has kind of gotten sober. Many big actors are sober. So you see them in the AA and the Cocaine Anonymous meetings, and it's kind of the new thing, I would say. Because a lot of people are, their addictions are so strong that it just starts taking them down very fast.
Sure.
Or it's near death, or it's either get recovery or die.
Those are two sad realities. I mean, it's kind of like, if you don't get yourself into a program, I mean, really, what are the alternatives? I mean, and addiction is scary. I've been lucky. Cigarettes has been my only vice, and that's a real bitch. I'm still trying to get off of that myself. Tough stuff.
I just recently lost a friend of mine, a singer from Warrant, a few years ago. He was in the program, and then he drank. He relapsed and drank himself to death. Janie Lane.
Such a tragedy. And it's such a senseless tragedy. When there's so much out there that's available to where you could get some kind of help. I mean, I guess that's one thing I always accent on the show, so maybe we should talk about that. If anybody's listening, and obviously, of course, I'm sure tons of people will, and they're thinking to themselves, you know what, this guy's making a lot of sense. I might be in tune with something he's talking about here, and they're afraid to go out and solicit help. Are there means or ways for people that suspect they might have a problem? What would you suggest that they do?
Well, I mean, if you can't live without it and you can't put it down, it's kind of a problem. If it's affecting your home life, your family, it's a problem.
Right.
And AA has just been around a long time to help a lot of people. There's several programs now. There's AA, there's CA, there's NA, Cocaine Anonymous got big in about 85 and started out here because California had a huge cocaine problem. So the Cocaine Anonymous program started. And so it's grown in its size since 85. And it's a younger crowd because of the cocaine. You know, a lot of the older alcoholics were, you know, in AA. And so the younger cocaine addicts, the young kids, the youngers, they all in this Cocaine Anonymous program.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah.
So scary. My God, I have grown adult children, and I'm thinking to myself, God, that's just scary, you know? It really is when you think about the stuff. And nowadays, it's drugs that are mixed in this mat, too. It's not just the simple stuff anymore. You know, that's what scares me a little bit. It's unfortunate. But kudos to you, man. I'm really proud of you. That's absolutely awesome. Maintaining sobriety for such a significant period of time is a really, really cool thing. And that's very, very good. So I wanted to go ahead and kind of touch base a little bit about this because I know you're a California native, so it kind of goes without saying that apparently the prerequisite for living there has got to be good looks, owning a motorcycle, having tattoos, and raising hell, because a lot of the people that have been on the show do that exact same thing. I'm just seeing a pattern.
Well, yeah.
Obviously. On a serious note, sad to say but true, for a minute we're going to have to talk about you being a bad boy because I know that, unfortunately, trouble has begotten more than a few folks that have hailed from Sons of Anarchy and, of course, that have been on my show. It sucks. I want to kind of step back a little bit, go back in your youth ways. At what age had you first found yourself being legally reprimanded for your actions? Do you recall? How young was it?
I think 15, 16.
Oh, my God. You were a bad boy.
Yeah, I was in juvenile hall. Yeah. I was fighting. My family had to pay for an attorney to fight a big assault case.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, my God. Goodness gracious. Now, unfortunately, I know one repercussion, of course, of your actions came in the form of imprisonment for a term of 5 years. Now, if you could, perhaps just share with us maybe a life lesson that you had learned while serving, meaning that either one which made you a stronger and a harder man, because sometimes people come out of it and they're like, not only are they stronger, but they're tougher, or one which just taught you some humility and kind of knocked you down a bit and was like, hey, I'm down all that. Do you know what I mean? Depending on which side of the fence you are with that.
Well, the lessons I learned while being incarcerated was one, respect for the other people that you're incarcerated with, because you kind of step out of line with with other inmates, and you can wind up not making it out alive. So you kind of get respect for the others that are around you, especially when you've got that much time to do. Yeah, and then you keeping yourself clean because other inmates don't like to be filled up with somebody that's dirty.
Really? Oh, my goodness gracious.
Yeah.
Did you find that you were more of a badass when you went in there and you kind of came out humble to some extent? Like, kind of like, all right, this has kind of taught me something and I got to kind of toe the line here. You're kind of like, oh, screw this shit. I'll go off and screw around some more. You know what I'm saying?
Well, yeah, I didn't want to go back after that. So I wasn't, I was more reckless before I went in.
Okay.
And before I went in, I was a member of one of the outlaw clubs of California, and that's what put me there. I actually had to fight life in prison during my court case, but I came out with 5 years. But after going through an extensive jury trial, I didn't really want to put myself in that position again in life. So that's one aspect of changing everything. And yeah.
I imagine so. You hear some good, you hear different things from different people all the time as far as their experience goes and stuff like that. And some people that have been in and out like constantly, repeatedly, and you think to yourself, was it all worth it in the first place? If you could go back and change it, would you have made the same choices knowing now what you know now? Would you have done the same things, do you think, or how would you have changed yourself in some way? Any choices you wouldn't have made?
I mean, I I had made the choice to join the club that I did. I don't know if I would have made that same choice again, looking back on it, because I just did a lot of things in the club that I wouldn't have normally done. But I learned a lot of. I guess I learned the ins and outs of an outlaw club for the years that I was in it, and then I found out more about being in a club when my case came down on top of me, when it was involved the club, and that club didn't stand behind me. So they didn't help me at all.
Oh, my goodness gracious. How sad.
So I was kind of left to fend for myself on it. But I still have respect for the club that I was with and guys that are still in the club from way back in the early 90s when it was 95 to 7 or so, somewhere on there that I was in it.
Okay.
There's still some of the old timers that are in it that I knew from back then.
Okay.
Still have respect for the club. Just
sure.
Some things happen to you when you're in it.
Yeah, shit happens, as they say.
You make the choice to be in it. You
make the choice, you got to do it. Yep, no, I know exactly what you're talking about. Definitely.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's switch gears to something else that's just as not pleasant. I figured we'd get all the unpleasantries out of the way, and then we'll talk about the good stuff. Just what I thought, because I know this is getting a little demoralizing. So I know that many individuals, either those that possess a personal camaraderie, or else ones who just research you on the internet have the knowledge, of course, that there's a small controversy surrounding your actual name. Now, I don't know if you know this or not, but I found out that your name has been associated with restaurants, food products, and gangsters. Did you know that?
Yes.
You did? Oh, look at that. I thought I could stump him. Damn. He's a little ahead of me. But apparently there is one individual in the adult film industry who is elected to take said name as his own. So in so much as you're comfortable, of course, maybe you want to either explain or maybe clear up any misconceptions surrounding the story, because I know that people are kind of divided on both sides of the fence as to what to believe. So I'm kind of just curious of your take on this.
Well, what I had started using, the name when I was in about the 80s as a guitar player, and it had been used at the time too. I had found out, but then when I switched over into the adult film industry, I started in '94. I started using Tommy Gunn, and I had done countless films, and I'd actually even when I'd gone into the club, they knew me. The club knew me, and almost bikers knew me, still with that name. During my incarceration, this other Tommy Gunn came in and started using Tommy Gunn. And apparently, I've talked to him. Apparently, he didn't know that the name had been used in 200 films or so. This was VHS days.
Okay.
And so he carried on, and he had been using the name for probably about 2 years when I came back around in '06. And then I met him, and now we just kind of both have the name. So most of the people started saying, well, then they started calling me the original Tommy Gunn from back in the day, from starting with the name. So they're referring me to the original Tommy Gunn and then the other Tommy Gunn.
I gotcha. And now
so
for this point in time, I was just going to say, so now as it stands, there's two of you, and it stays collectively as both of you. So do you have legal ramification to I mean, I guess I'm just for my own benefit, I'm wondering, can you go after said person for doing that, or?
Well, no, I had actually looked into a trademark, and he actually trademarked the name. And when I looked into it, but he had trademarked the name back in '07, and I could have disputed it, but I really didn't want to continue, because there'd been kind of, I'd had some hostility over it all, and I had to just kind of like let it all go, because it was just kind of building too much, on me, and I was getting involved in, a lot of the mainstream stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So it really just kind of, it just kind of like took a back seat in my mind because I started getting busy with another film, with the mainstream industry. So I really didn't think much of it anymore. And now we get along. He and I get along fine when we see each other. So
I gotcha. So there isn't any hard. Okay, there's not a heck of a lot of animosity as it relates to this now at this point.
No, not between us. At least I don't think so.
Yeah. Well, and it's always very difficult because obviously one person's interpretation is another. And as I always say when I'm dealing with my kids, you got to pick and choose your battles. I suppose you could do this, over and over and over and over and over and fight about it. But after a while, it's kind of like you got to just kind of cut your loss or kind of say, okay, I'm going to learn to live with this or whatever have you. And hopefully that'll get worked out. I hope it is.
Yeah, because everybody's moving on, doing their own projects. And
right.
Yeah.
I gotcha. So now, just when I thought we were done with the hardship, there's more. Sorry. There's more. You have quite the life, so it's just like I have so much to ask you, you know what I mean? There's good that's going to come out of this, obviously, as you know, but the life of Tommy Gunn has had its plethora of hardship amidst, obviously, the happy moments. Now, obviously, one such hardship, which I kind of want to briefly touch upon, of course, is I know, obviously, you've had a relationship, of course, between yourself and Star Productions owner Elizabeth Starr, obviously.
Yes.
Now, I know at one given point in your life you held down the role of vice president of said business. Now,
yes.
I'm gonna say right now that I'm probably going to feel very ignorant in this regard because this is an area I know absolutely nothing about. So, how exactly does one make a decision where they wake up in the morning and they're like, you know what, pursuing any kind of acting or any kind of career as it relates to the adult film industry is something that I wish to pursue or wish to earn my living? How did you get to that point where you thought, okay, was it offered to you, or how did you initially get involved into it?
Initially, when I got into this into the adult industry, it stemmed from when I was a dancer, and I met a female performer that was the headlining of the adult industry at the time, and she was a main dancer at a club that I was working at, and I met her, and then she introduced me into the adult industry, and from then I started getting to know all the different studios and filming, and that's how it kind of took a life of its own after a while, because then you just start getting called for different films, different scenes with different people. And and then once I was gone, because life wasn't exciting enough being in the porn industry, I had to join an outlaw club and make it a little bit more exciting.
There wasn't enough happening on one side, so we just got to make it all crazy all the way around. Smart idea.
Absolutely.
How'd that work out for you?
Yeah. Incarceration.
Yeah, that's exactly right. My goodness gracious, dude. Was there ever, and again, I'm going to feign ignorance on this because I'm here to tell you, I'm just a 5'5" woman. I'm like 120 pounds. I got to tell you, getting me half naked, I'm kind of, modest about this. Did you ever hold any kind of apprehension about, well, obviously we're talking nudity here. So were you ever uncomfortable with this, or was it just something you kind of get used to, or do you know what I mean?
I guess the first couple of times that you get on one of the sets, it's intimidating. There's a lot there at the time. There was a lot of people that were involved in a film. Not so much these days. Things have changed, but back in those days, they just had so many camera people. They had lighting people. They had lighting. They had people in the rafters with lighting that was taking shadows out. It was a big production, and with the costs they are of nowadays, and the piracy of all that stuff, they've really had to cut the costs down to like one guy holding the camera. And so it's all changed. But the first couple of times that you get naked and try to perform in front of all, 15 people, it's a little difficult. It's not so bad.
I imagine so.
Yeah. But then when I was gone for so many years, and then I had met Elizabeth Starr, and I'd gotten involved in her company after meeting her, and became the vice president and helping her with pretty much all aspects of her company, with filming, setting up sets, and then her and I going to different adult events and conventions and things like that.
Okay. Now, in your experience, one of the things I want to ask, because obviously I know that you had mentioned to me that there's some individuals, of course, like as it relates to, obviously in Sons of Anarchy, we see that we've got the porn stars there and all that good stuff. So some individuals that you know have been part of that as far as that goes, as far as acting on the show, etc. So as it comes down to it, because obviously you've been in this industry, do they give somewhat of a realistic peek into that area, do you think, or do you think it's more fictionalized?
The show itself?
Yeah. Yeah, because obviously Sons of Anarchy is a little different.
Well, it's a little different. There's some dramatization, trying to say that word right.
Dramatization?
Yes, of the show, but they have a lot of insight into the actual way clubs are run and situations that have happened. From some of the technical advisors that are of motorcycle clubs. That, they get the info from of things that have happened, and so some of the guys that are out there in clubs will say, well, that's all untrue, but they have to get, some of it's all built up for television, but some of it's true. And they're not going to portray some of the darkest stuff on TV that clubs do.
Right.
I
would gather not.
Too much for TV.
Yes, I would imagine so. And it's bad enough seeing some of the stuff we've seen this season, because that kind of scared the bejesus out of me. And I know that it's fictional, but it's like, yeah, some of the stuff was kind of creepy this season.
Yeah.
Just
my
thought.
A lot of people that have been in clubs will go, it kind of reminds you of something that you've seen happen. Not entirely, but it just kind of scratches the surface of things that you've seen go down.
God, that's scary. I don't even want to fathom it. I'm like, when you tell me that, I'm just like, I don't need to know. You know what I mean? I talk to the mob wives all the time, and I'm like, I got their version of their lives, and I'm like, sometimes I think you all parallel, because the mob is over here, and then these guys over here, and I'm just like, oh my God, some of these things that go on, I'm like, okay. It's nice TV. I don't want to delve any more into it than that. So I'm like, yeah.
Yeah, okay. It's nicer to be on TV than to living it day by day. And you have to deal with, you can't talk on the cell phones, and there's just so much day-to-day things that you have to deal with when you're a part of something like that, it's just exhausting.
Oh, I imagine so, definitely. One of the things I wanted to mention was, I know that we had talked about this earlier, as far as the part and parcel of your directing experiences lied within, of course, Star Productions. So I wanted to ask you, do you think your path down the road someday might be inclusive of additional experiences in other areas of film? I mean, do you have a longing or a desire to do short film or to do theater, or is that something you might envision happening?
Probably not too much theater, but probably working film. Because I have some ideas of some things that I want to do, biker-oriented myself.
Okay. Wonderful. So we'll get to see you behind the camera, as far as not just in front of the camera, but behind the camera, because I could definitely see that. And again, I don't know you that well, but I could definitely envision that. You have the personality for it. I think people would listen to you, or you would beat their ass, one or the other.
No.
It's just a thought. I'm like,
unfortunately, that's not the way film works.
Right, I imagine so. That's not quite like the biker lifestyle and/or certain people we know. So yeah, I understand. But no, I could definitely envision that. I do think that obviously, if you've already got that experience in one area, I mean, obviously you've kind of got the advantage to step into other fields and do something like that.
Yep. Plus knowing a lot of the people.
Really?
Yeah, knowing a lot of the bikers and when you're trying to put something together, instead of trying to chase down a casting company to try to find a wannabe biker, I know all of them.
Right. Makes perfect
you
sense.
contact everybody and say, I got a project I'm working on.
There you go. Cool. Very cool.
Yeah.
I'll be looking for that. I'll be pulling for it, actually, as a matter of fact. I'd be the first one to be an advocate. That'd be awesome. Now, again, without going too far and asking too in depth, obviously, I know that some are curious as to ask. At this present point in time, as far as it relates to, obviously, yourself and Elizabeth, do you find that you're in a better place personally so as to allow both of you to kind of maybe heal and move on, or things still kind of difficult for you? We're just kind of curious to see where things are lying right now.
Yeah, things are a little difficult right now. There's been some real tough things that have gone on, and some bad situations in the courtrooms and everything.
Oh, goodness.
Yeah, I've made no, I love Elizabeth. I know it's been a tough road with her and I. We spent a lot of years together, and I got her on Sons actually in the beginning.
Oh.
The first season, I got her on, and they actually called her on a couple times.
Okay.
So she's from first season. But we're still kind of going through a situation right now. I'm still trying to get some property of mine back from her. And we still have to work out details on the separation of me and Star Productions.
Okay. Got it. Okay. We just wanted to kind of check in as far as that goes. I mean, that's your personal life, obviously, but certainly all of us are hoping for the best. No one wants to see this, battling and brawling, especially if you're a public person. People tend to be intrusive and they find out everything, and, your life should be your own, and you should have some things that are private. So, gosh, I got my fingers crossed for you. I hope it all goes well. Definitely.
Me too. It's been almost a reality show lately.
That's scary, isn't it?
I found out when some things were happening between Elizabeth and I, that I wasn't actually divorced from my first wife of like 5-6 years ago, or 7 years ago, during probably about 5 years ago that I was going through a divorce with Tia, and now I've come to find out that the attorney never finished filing the final documentation. And so all this time I thought I was divorced from Tia, and I got married to Elizabeth in Vegas, and my new attorney informed me that I was still married to Tia, which was a shock.
Oh, my God. I'm shocked.
Yeah.
I'm like, you know what, that's shocking to me. Like, how funny you're going along, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, yeah, by the way, just to let you know, this is a situation. That's got to be kind of a shock. I mean, and how do you deal with that? You just do what you got to do and handle it the best way you can.
Yeah, I had to talk to Tia, and she laughed because we were both still married to each other.
Oh, my God. Goodness. Well, again, I'm just going to sit here, cross my fingers, and hope that everything turns out as it's supposed to as far as that goes. Now I want to cover something because I know that, first of all, the women have been sitting out here and probably listening for the last 38 minutes and thinking, is she going to ask that question? So I'm going to prepare everyone now that they're going to get their hearts crushed, because sometimes I usually leave it to question, but most of you that know of Tommy Gunn or have heard of him obviously know that Denise is his significant other. So, yes, he has a girlfriend, which means you can lust after him, but you can't do anything else, plain and simple.
That's unless Denise says it's okay.
Yeah, there you go. Obviously, I'm a chick. So because I'm a chick, I always ask for what I call bread and butter, which is, of course, the mushy stuff. So, of course, you got to pony up some kind of detail here in terms of, has this been a long-term relationship? I mean, how did you meet each other? Is this going to be permanent? Of course, I'm a chick. We want to know this kind of stuff. Are you in love? You can tell me to be quiet. Because I know I'm putting you on the spot, but that's what I do.
It would be kind of funny if I would have said there's a 7-year shelf life.
No, because
because I was married to Tia for 10 years, and then I was with Elizabeth for 7.
Oh my goodness.
And I had actually met Denise on Facebook. So I went to Facebook.
Well, look at that.
Yeah, so we were chatting back and forth for about a year, and then she was out this way, and I had met her, and I've been together for a year, and yeah, there were some things between Elizabeth and I that weren't going well, and so when I met Denise, I fell in love with Denise, and so it's been a tough road with me and Elizabeth over all that.
Now, I'm interested to ask this because obviously here she comes into this relationship, of course, and if you've had any kind of longevity in being around you, most people would know, obviously, you draw some kind of attention and things like that, especially from the female side of things, and of course, obviously, people know who you are, media-wise and otherwise. How is it for her to handle? I mean, how does she do with all that?
How does she handle all?
I'm asking you, buddy.
I know. Well, I have to ask her. She's got to deal with it a lot.
Sure.
She says it just kind of rolls off her back.
Okay.
And she feels it's a compliment. There was a lot of it with my last relationship, and she kind of got tired of it. But Denise has been faring well.
Okay. I got it. Now, as far as the relationship, I mean, if I were to just ask you specifically, how do you feel that this relationship has bettered you as a person? Has it bettered you as a person? Are you still kind of feeling things out? And what's your opinion?
Right now, we're still feeling things out. She's real supportive of me and things that I'm going through right now.
Okay. And that's a lot. It's a lot to contend with, I imagine, for the both of you, obviously, of course. It's one of those things, obviously, that, you just kind of got to get through and see. And, you're very, very lucky. She, by the way, speaks very highly of you. I just want to throw that out there. As a little that I have spoken to her, she's been very kind in your regard. So that tells me you're a pretty cool guy. When the chick says that you're awesome, you know that you got to be a good man. Just throwing it out there. Just so you know. I mean, not that you don't know, but in case you don't, I'm giving you a little pat on the back from your girlfriend, just so you know, on live radio. So there you go. Now, we have an individual that's been holding here for 5 minutes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to shut up. Even though it hasn't been an hour yet, I'm going to be quiet. I'm going to put them on air, and let's just see what they have to say, because I'm curious as to, I don't want to leave them on hold too long, if you don't mind. So let's pop them on here real quick and have them ask a question. Just 1 second. Hello?
Hello.
Hi.
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 How's it going?
Did you have a question?
Did we lose our caller?
That's a good question, actually. Apparently we have lost the caller. I figured I'd be nice. They've been holding for like 5 minutes, and I'm just like, okay, I assume if you're calling in, you're talking to Tommy Gunn. But I guess apparently either they chickened out or didn't have anything to say, either or.
Oh.
Okay.
Oh, well.
That's fine. I have more questions, so we'll just wait until somebody else actually calls in. So that's okay, because I don't mind having you all to myself for this short period of time. What can I say? Obviously, of course, although I know you're a fan of motorcycles, because obviously I know that you both ride and you construct them, I know that in turn they've not always proven to be your best friend, because I know that you had suffered some severe consequences due to a motorcycle accident. So maybe you could tell your fans, if you could, the details of the incident and if you've had any permanent physical handicaps that remain to this day because of it.
The last, let's see, I had an accident, a motorcycle accident in 2009 during just before the season 3 of SOA was going to start, and I got a call to do a part to start doing Sons of True Blood, and they had called me to take on a part as a biker werewolf.
Oh my God!
And we were so we were going to be there was going to be a biker werewolf gang, and so they had called me, and I was going to be on the blue bike, and so on my way to the first day of shooting for it, I was on the freeway, and I'd gotten into an accident on the freeway where I collided with another car, and it sent me sliding across the freeway and underneath the semi.
Oh, my God.
And, so I got ran over by the back part of the semi-trailers. It's always kind of a tough thing to talk about. I was coherent laying on the freeway because the set, they were trying to find out where I was at, and I had a pedestrian that was out of his car talking on my cell phone to the show, telling them I was down on the freeway. And so they were basically scraping me. Well, my bike was on its side, pouring gas out onto the road, pouring gas onto me. And then the fire department was trying to get me off into an ambulance, and my leathers were covered in gasoline. So it was pretty strong. Yeah, off to the ER, and then they couldn't even get in the room with me because of the gasoline was so strong that they couldn't even come into the room. And actually, so I was laying there in full chaps, leather, jacket, and everything was soaked in gasoline. And actually, it was Elizabeth who showed up at the hospital in the ER and started ripping all my leathers off because they wouldn't come in the room. And she got soap and water and started scrubbing me down to try to get the fumes out because the doctors and nurses wouldn't even come into the room. They started trying to hang like fly trap stuff or some type of vapor thing that would attract the vapor of it. But and so so I wasn't able to walk for about 7 months. I was up on crutches here and there, but I got I'm pretty good shape still. Just have some issues with my right leg. On it.
Now, is that something that they can repair, or is it just kind of always be kind of maybe on funk?
It's the only problem I have now with my leg is it's fluid swells, and it gets swells a lot, and it causes problems with my foot. But I try to exercise it out to keep building my leg back up.
Goodness gracious, God. I'm so sorry to hear that one, Marvin. Yeah, no kidding, right? And here you are and still standing. Thank you, Jesus, and you're still alive. So mercy, thank God for that. Again, to those listening, I always like to revert back to those that have had some, obvious experience. Unfortunately, I've never had this terrible monstrosity happen to me. Anybody who's listening out there, any words of wisdom as far as to could you have avoided that accident in some way? Any words of wisdom to anybody out there riding? Well, I mean, obviously we all know the obvious, the helmet thing and all that jazz, but anything that you took away from that accident that might have taught you anything?
Well, out here in California, you can split lanes between the traffic. Not every place you can. One of the problems of that day, particularly, was I was in a hurry, and I don't usually split lanes too fast. I'll let a lot of the more of the race bikes shoot across that are splitting lanes a little faster. I usually let them go ahead, especially when you're on a bigger Harley and you're trying to avoid mirrors on the cars, mirrors and stuff like that. You're not kicking mirrors off. So I was in a bit more of a hurry than I usually am, and I usually give more distance between people in front of me, but a lady stopped in the fast lane, and I was in a hurry, so I started skidding sideways, and I clipped the back corner of her car, that's what sent me sailing across the freeway. But taking it easy and watching what's going on. I don't race through intersections because most of us get hit in intersections on surface streets more than we do on freeways. Freeways seem to be a little safer because we're all going one direction.
I gotcha.
Intersections, people are trying to make a left turn in front of you.
God, how scary, Jesus. Whew. Well, let's hope that never happens again, hey? You got to keep yourself upright. Stop having these little accidents. You scare the hell out of people. Just saying. Okay. Well,
yeah.
now I'm going to start saying good things about you. So get excited now because we're going to have to go off the bad stuff and on the good
All
stuff.
right.
So I'm getting a little excited here. But it looks like we got another caller again. So I'm going to try this one more time. Let's try this again, see if they actually want to talk to you this time. Otherwise, you're stuck with me again, which isn't that bad. Hello, you're on the air.
Hi.
Hi. Are you calling me to talk to Tommy Gunn?
Yeah. Actually, my name is Montana. I'm from New York, and I'm on this website called Bond. And I just want to say that you're an inspiration with all the stuff that you've been through. You rock. You really rock. And I just want to say that I'm happy you're okay and everything's doing good.
Thanks. It's one of my Bond friends.
Oh, really?
I know he's very busy, but whenever I write or something, he gets back to me all the time, and you're an awesome person. And I talk to Bill every now and then too, and he's been inspirational as well. So you guys, thank you for always, being the people that you are. I appreciate it.
Thanks for calling in.
Oh,
you're welcome.
Nice. Yes. Thank you so much for doing that. I'm sorry you had to wait on hold a little bit, but we got to you.
Oh, no, that's okay. That's quite all right. It was good to hear his voice, put a voice to the face, and I'm just glad everything's fine. I was, worried he wasn't on for so long. I was like, okay. And then I saw he was in the hospital, and, it's not a good thing, but I'm just glad he came out of it. It's very awesome.
Oh, thank you. It was a tough
You're
thing to
welcome.
do it back,
And I wish you well.
Thank you, Montana.
You're welcome.
Oh, this was a nice, fuzzy moment. Cool. Well, thank you for calling in, dear.
No problem. You have a good night.
Thank you, dear.
Too.
You too.
Talk to you later.
All right. Later.
Oh, that was so nice. See? People say nice things about you all the time. How cool is that? Okay, now I'm about to blow smoke up your ass a little bit, so pay attention.
Bond, if you know what that is.
No.
It's the abbreviation for biker or not.
I did not know that. See? I just learned something tonight, folks. I want to put that up on my Facebook page later. Guess what? Dumbass City learned something new.
Website. They have a big Sons of Anarchy fan page on it, too. A lot of followers for that.
Very cool. I shall have to check that out and send in my kudos. That's awesome. Amazing. Now, sin, that's me. I've in the past stated that the measure, and I truly believe this, the measure of any given man, whether it's actor, relative, or otherwise, lies in his heart value. Well, you, my dear, appear to be abundant in heart when you consider your pledge to act as an ongoing volunteer for the Hearts of Compassion. And I know that their time and effort is spent on feeding homeless families. So I'd like you to maybe expound further on their mission and maybe tell us how we as just regular citizens are able to help. I'm not sure if we can, being out of town or whatever, but just kind of tell us what they do and can we be of any assistance on our own?
Hearts of Compassion is, they work with the needy and homeless. It's headed by Pastor Eric, and he gathers food from stores that's either going, near its expiration date or, from donations. And he sets these days up on a weekend at different churches in different parts of LA County. And a lot of families will show up, and they stand in the line while all the food's being prepped and getting ready. He has a band that plays. The groups will come in and certain, 100 will come in. They'll sit down. Pastor Eric will talk to the crowd, and then set them, and then they'll get in a line. They'll get a tag for a colored tag to go get their car. Come back and get in a long line that they have in the parking lot, which they have set with cones. And then the volunteers will get all these grocery baskets full of the same items in every basket. And then they line up all the baskets. And then as the cars come through, we have the people that are in the car to stay in the car. We just put everything in their trunk, depending on if they got a card for one family or two families, meaning one basket or two baskets. and I just spend the day loading up people's cars. And they don't know who I am.
Sure.
I'm just putting stuff in the trunk of their car.
You're just the guy.
Yeah, I'm just one of the guys putting, helping being one of the volunteers to help give all the, put food in the cars. And then at times, like this last time, Pastor Eric knew what was going on with me, so he spent some time praying for me. And he'd given me some items, a basket or two, which I took to a sober recovery house.
Cool.
To help out with some other people getting sober.
Gotcha. Now, as far as you associating yourself with Hearts of Compassion, was there a significance as to opting to help them as compared to someone else? I mean, did you have relationships solidified with them, or how did that come about?
I've had a relationship with them due to with Pastor Eric, and I knew that was his program, was the Hearts of Compassion, and he helps donate food to some of the motorcycle clubs that are out that show up and help out also. One of the sober clubs that is the main group that helps out is the Inner Circle from Pasadena. And there's a sober motorcycle run put on in September in Monrovia, California, that he donates a lot of the food to help them cut some of their costs for putting the run on. And in turn, they show up and help volunteer their time to help each month with that, loading the cars up, and then he helps with the run and help them in return. So it's helping each other.
And that's a very good thing. And it's so rewarding, too, I think, nowadays, especially even if you just take a portion of your time. You don't have to be doing it constantly. But I think that's so cool when people have their time to help others, especially in a celebrity circle, because you don't always have that kind of time, to devote to something like that. I mean, do you foresee or will you have time in the future to dedicate or attach yourself to other charities, or you feel strongly about being part of any one in particular you can think of?
Actually, if I'm called upon, a lot of times I'll hear about something and then I'll go on, a charity ride or anything like that. I'll always get involved in something like that.
Cool.
California always has the toy runs for children.
Oh, right,
right. So I'm involved when those come around. I do another. Like when the holidays come around, I get pretty busy with those in particular times. Like there's a run that's put on for the homeless of the higher deserts, where the group takes blankets and old clothes, and they go to a lot of the thrift stores, tell them what they're doing, and they get donations from the thrift stores to go directly to a park in the higher desert where the homeless are living in these washes, and they come right out. They don't really want to take it to the homeless shelter. They actually go to where these people are living in tents and put the blankets and clothes out in this large park and have them come right out of the wash and get it.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So, and I like going right to where a lot of these people are, because what's happened for out here is a lot of people lost their homes. What has happened out here, especially because I'm following what's going on in California where I'm at, a lot of people have lost their homes, and a lot of people with their kids have been living in tents in like Victorville, California, and where some of my friends live. And they started putting this together, and I've just gone on it year after year and gathered up things that I could and what I didn't need and just haul it up there. And each year it's grown to where more of our friends have shown up, different clubs have shown up with a truck of stuff that they put together. Cool. Yeah, sometimes the homeless is overabundance of stuff, so we've actually gathered it all up and gone to another park. where we were
Really?
like searching out the homeless, trying to find them with a whole bunch of bikes and trucks trying to find homeless people.
God, I can imagine that must be kind of overwhelming to a average person. Like, oh my God, what the hell are they doing going down the road? But it's for good cause, though.
Oh yeah, it's pretty funny.
Oh, could you imagine that? Hey, here's Tommy Gunn. He's bringing toys to my kids. I'm like, oh my God, the women will probably pass out and die, and the kids are like, who the hell is this guy?
Yeah, exactly.
All for good cause, though, right? I mean, that's exactly that's what it's all about. So very cool, man. I'm very impressed by that. Well, a couple of different things.
Well,
But we'll get on to that.
I guess just to touch on the reason it's a subject for me is because during my early teenage years, I was a homeless teenager out here in LA. So now that I have, I'm in a better position in my life to give back to people that are in that position like I was when I was young, is why I do it.
It's very cool. Very impressive, man. I'm impressed. Point 1 for him. Check. This is good. Earned some brownie points on this interview. Awesome. Okay, we have another caller that's actually calling in. It's been holding for a little bit. So before I start talking about Sons of Anarchy, because we're finally getting to that point where we get to talk about the show, let me see who I can throw on here and see what they have to say to you. So just hang on a second.
Okay.
Hello, you're on the air. Hello? Okay, apparently they don't have anything to say. That's a little unusual. Sometimes that happens too. I don't know if it's technical, but I'm watching this person holding for like 7 minutes, and I'm like, I don't want to make them feel bad. But okay, I guess they didn't want to talk to either one of us. That's their loss, not ours. All right. Now, one's recollection of their first days in Sons of Anarchy always fascinates me. Anytime I have somebody come on the show, I'm like, okay, well, let's talk about this a bit. So, naturally, I have to ask the question, the role, the one that you landed on the show. Now, was that given to you due to a mixture of both your talent and an association with someone, or was it in a different fashion? How did that originally happen?
Well, originally, I knew the casting agent for Sons, and when I found out he was casting the show, like many of us, I'd seen the previews of the show, but we hadn't seen any episodes yet. So it was FX was showing a lot of the previews of this up and coming series that was coming out. So all we got to see was all these trailers. And like many of us were like, well, this is a cool show. It's nothing like, it's kind of a new thing. It was never been a show like that one. Compared to all the other biker shows that you've seen. And when I had ran into my friend, one of my friends, when he had told me he was casting for it, and I said, oh, that's cool. I like the trailer. He goes, do you want to be on the show? And I said, yeah. So when I got the opportunity to come in, I'd seen the first 4 episodes of the show, and I got to be hired. I gotten to come in on the 5th episode of the first season. Okay. And so from then on, I was working a lot through the first season, and then on into the second season.
Okay, I've gotcha. Now, question. Now, obviously, we both know that you've had prior association in the past with different clubs, of course. Do you think that was did it make for a more comfortable scenario for you as far as being on the set, because you've already been surrounded by people like this in real life, obviously? So did you kind of just transition into this pretty easily, do you think?
Oh, yes. Well, what was funny was when I showed up on the set, and there's a lot of extras that are bikers that were from clubs, and I already knew pretty much 3/4 of the people that were there.
Oh, my God, really?
Over many years, from people from Harley shops, owners of different Harley shops that I'd gone and got parts from, all over the place. It's like a gathering of all old friends.
And that's really cool. That's way cool.
Yeah.
I go to this great stuff.
I haven't guys in years, and there we are, standing around with near beer, watching the first fight. I showed up, and it was one of the fights that they were putting on with the boxing ring.
Okay, I gotcha.
Yeah, with their prospect.
That, man.
Yeah.
Now, throughout this experience, because obviously each person has each actor that's been on there has said something differently. Obviously, I assume that you adore every single actor or everyone that's been on there or have an appreciation for them. But was there one particular cast member that you just felt most connected to or had the best relationship with, do you think?
Yes. Me and Theo.
Really?
Me and Theo got along. He and I talked all the time. He liked my bike, my blue bike.
Really?
And he was interested. He was really into my bike. He was one of the first guys I really talked to that was on the show, you know, because you see Charlie, you see Ron, you see Kim,
right?
And they're just kind of passing back and forth, and I didn't really talk to them all that much, you know, because I didn't really want to hassle those guys and say hi, you know, like,
right.
you know, because they're busy, you're just there to do a job, and I don't want to hassle them, and Theo just came up and started talking to me about my bike, and he didn't own his own bike. And so he just started asking me all these questions about my bike, and I told him I built it. And then he and I just started getting, you know, we started talking all the time, more than I would with everybody else, because I started, you know, having more of a friend connection with him. And then Ryan, who played Opie, he'd gotten Ryan to come over and look at my bike, and we'd gotten to know him. I'd gotten to know him real well, and so that episode where he gets killed off, boy, oh. Yeah, that was rough.
I bet.
But yeah, I feel I got to know first was Theo.
That's absolutely cool, as a matter of fact. I love him. He's one of my favorite people. And I hear very good things about him all the time. Not even necessarily on the show, but just outside of the show. Philanthropy, as far as the stuff that he's done. You know, from a charity standpoint and stuff like that. No one ever has a bad word to say about him either. I think, ironically, the circumstances surrounding the show as it relates to not only camaraderie, but just everyone speaks so highly about everyone else. You don't hear a lot of garbage. There isn't all sorts of, you know, stuff about this person hates this person and, you know, set problems and blah, blah, blah. It's really a finely tuned machine. I think I've said that before, obviously.
It is.
I guess in your opinion, this is one thing I wanted to ask you. If I were to ask Tommy himself what you feel has been both the best and most realistic plot line thus far in the show, all season so far, what do you think?
Plot line.
That's a good, that's a good question.
I'm thinking with John Teller and Jack.
Oh, that's a good one. Good answer.
Of you know, him and his father, you know, and his father being killed, and well, you know, and Clay killing his father, you know, and his mom being involved, you know, and that whole backstory, and him finding out slowly about who actually took out his dad. Yeah,
I would have to agree. That's one really good one. I still want to know, who the hell's the homeless woman? Am I the only one thinking that? Who is this girl? Who's this woman that keeps showing up? I'm like, who is this? You know what I mean?
Homeless woman.
You know that lady that shows up to Jack's once in a great while and she looks like she's homeless? She's like in a cemetery, and then she was like outside of that one place, I think, where they had the dog fights this last one. You know what I mean? She kind of pops up and then disappears.
Oh, yeah.
There's a reason for her, and I can't figure it out. I'm wondering how she fits into this. I have plot lines in my head about this, but I'm like, the minute you start thinking that you're Kurt Sutter, I just wait till he has a weekly Twitter, because he does that weekly Twitter thing I think it's tonight or tomorrow night, you know, where you can tweet him questions and stuff. I'm like, one of these days I'm going to get the answer out of him. I'm going to trick him. In my own mind, I keep thinking I'm going to, but you see it still hasn't happened. It probably never will, but I am trying. But I just thought, well, okay, I'll throw it out there, obviously.
Well, you know, he keeps things hidden to everybody, and all of a sudden, I guess the first season when we were all on, everybody was overwhelmed with being on the show because the show was booming out here in California because it's shot out here.
Right.
Everything's out here. And people were taking pictures with their cameras and their cell phones, and they were shooting them all over the internet, you know, all over each other's Facebook, and they were just going out everywhere. And they tightened all that up. And they started making us sign gag orders, you know, we couldn't take pictures on the set. We couldn't talk about the set, especially after what happened. especially when we started filming season 2 in the beginning, they wanted no information leaked about what was going to happen with Gemma.
Really?
Yeah. They wanted
well,
a complete shock value of what happened with Gemma in the beginning of season 2.
Okay. I got
so
it.
He kept
and
it
apparently
under wraps.
Well, and apparently he's so good at it. And like you're saying, the whole shock value thing. I mean, what the hell? Talk about shock this season. I mean, my God, at least 4 times I could think of, my jaw dropped, and I was like, what? Where did this come from? I totally was like, Otto, right? I'm like, only he would do that thing with Otto. I'm like, no one else would think of that. I know I wouldn't. I couldn't even write that. I'd be too grossed out for one, and then to act it, I'm like, ew. So yeah, he constantly amazes me as it relates to character development and where those things go. Now, speaking of character development, this is probably going to be the only, and I know girls, so relax. First I tell you he's not single. Now I'm going to talk about Charlie, and I'm only asking one question. I know people might be disappointed, but this isn't the Charlie Hunnam hour. Because when Charlie Hunnam comes here, it'll be like the 3-hour Charlie Hunnam, because I won't want to let him go, period. Because, well, never mind. Okay. And again, this is just in your opinion, and I only ask you this just because of the fact that obviously, of course, you've been on set, so you've been privy to watching both, obviously, Charlie Hunnam and Ron Perlman. Curious. Judging by character portrayal, as far as Ron's performance, as far as Charlie's performance, and this is notwithstanding the fact that I think they're amazing actors, both of them. In your opinion, either as a fan or as a cast member, MC Club President, who pulls it off better, Jax or Clay, or respectively Ron or Charlie? I know, right?
See, right now, Charlie is just starting out, getting his, dealing with as the president, and they have Clay as being a president for a long time, and you get that feeling of Clay. And then he's had that P position, and he's how do you say that? He's groomed, he's been doing it a while, and you can, he's just got that about him. He's been president for quite a long time. He's got all of his irons in the fire, so he knows what's going on, with every aspect, like what he did with the Nomads.
Right. Right.
I
know what
Jax
you're saying. Sure.
They got Jax just trying to catch up to things, because he's just stepped into the position. Yep.
And I just got to say, I got to throw it out here real quickly. I got to say, and I'm a huge Jax supporter. Every season I'm just like, oh my God, he's not only is he a pretty boy, but it's just character-wise, he's enveloping and he's, changing and doing this. I'm the first one to tell you, I think he's done an amazing job becoming a badass. He's actually becoming somewhat more like Clay, and honestly, I got to say right now, I'm not a big supporter of Jax right now. I'm digging him, but I'm kind of not digging him. You know what I mean? The whole, let's go see the X and then shoot her up with a needle sort of thing. I was like, yeah, I'm not digging him as much as I used to. It's one of those things. But then again,
he's a great actor.
Oh yeah.
When I got on the show, I had no idea who he was. I knew he was playing, he was playing Jax, but I really had no idea who he was until there was others that we were standing around with Charlie, talking to him about some of the other parts that he's done in movies. And, so he did some like Ireland gangster, gang type films, and I can't remember the name of the film, but I had never seen it, and so I went back and saw his part in and watched that movie, which really portrays him as being, in one of those Ireland gangs. Yeah, and that was a great film. And then and then he didn't have to work on any of his accent.
Right, exactly. And the funny part is, too, I'm sitting here listening to you girls, and I'm sure you would agree with me. We're thinking, he's saying, yeah, I got on the set and I didn't know who Charlie was. Are you crazy? If you asked any of us when we walked on a set anywhere, it wouldn't even take 3 seconds. Hello? Ding, ding, ding. Sorry.
Well, it was for me. It was the first season. I knew who Ron was. You know.
Okay.
You know who Ron Perlman did in all kinds of things. Kim Coates, boy, Kim's been in so many films.
I know, right?
Yeah.
It's been amazing.
You know,
I always remember him from The Client thing. The Client, right?
He was
The Client. He's the
well,
bad guy.
he was in RoboCop. Boy, he's been.
Oh my God! I didn't know that.
Yeah. I mean, he's been in so many films. You know, so you see, you know, and Kim's such a down-to-earth guy. You know, he's a good. And so I didn't know who Theo was. So Ron and Kim were the only prominent actors that I had seen. Next to Katie, you know, I knew what Katie worked on for years, and yeah,
we all know. Don't we?
Yeah.
We just don't talk about it because it's like, yeah, she was kick-ass in it, but if you look at that and then look at Gemma now, oh my God, her body of work over the course of time, and not just on Sons, has really enveloped her into quite the character actor. She's really, really good at what she does. Very, very, very versed. I haven't told lady. I can't even, and I don't even know her personally, obviously, but just, you know, even the Lifetime movies or other things, other projects I've seen her in, she's really established herself, and not just because she's married to Kurt Sutter. She really is an entity all of her own, and I enjoy that, you know, profusely, obviously. Question now, I think the last one as it relates to Sons of Anarchy. Oh, wait, and by the way, I'm sure that we all know this, girls. I'm going to mention this too. That casting director, whoever it is, must have a prerequisite for all you people to be attractive. Because let me just say, how many people on that show are unattractive? Zero. The girlfriends, the old ladies, the bikers. Think about it a minute. Even the damn dogs aren't unattractive. I'm like, I don't know. That must be like this prerequisite. I'm like, they're all hot. And I guess it's probably done for a reason, but I'm like, don't you think that's a coincidence, right? Okay, last thing I want to ask you, just from an acting standpoint, obviously with being all sorts of seasoned veteran actors that are on there and working with them in that capacity, did you take away one good lesson you can think of that was taught to you by either watching them or performing with them?
Well, one of the things that I noticed about them doing their lines, none of the guys were. I noticed that they studied their work real well, because sometimes you don't get your lines right. You're going back and forth trying to get the line right, several times, but. And it wasn't that way with them. They had done all of their lines, and they were just getting, getting a couple different runs, takes of it, just like 3 or 4 different takes of the same thing, and so the days kind of ran through fairly quickly when it came to dialogue. They're really, these guys are really strong with getting through their dialogue, their walkthroughs, and right on to, a couple of walkthroughs on it, and then right to, we're going to run a take.
That's way cool. I don't even think I could do that. God, that's kind of scary. I mean, it's a good thing, but it's kind of like, how did they get that?
Yeah, because that's the toughest part is remembering your line,
right?
And your full dialogue, especially this much dialogue that they're doing. And then, especially if you have if you're dealing with an accent and you're trying to change it.
I hear you. I know. I did exactly what you mean, a.k.a. Jax, a.k.a. Charlie Hunnam, because I think we talked about this earlier, and I know a lot of girls agree with me. I don't know. This season it must be just kind of like I'm winging it. I don't really care anymore if people hear the fact that I'm obviously from another country. Because when he talks, you can hear it. If you go back and replay some of the episodes from this last season, you can hear it. He really sounds more like him than he sounds like Jax now. I think that's cool. I mean,
he has a real heavy English accent when you're talking to him.
I know, and like the boy can't get damn sexy enough, and then he's got to add that damn accent in there. No to Kurt Sutter, let him keep that accent because it's driving us crazy, right? Like
I remember the first time I'd heard, because I'd watched a couple episodes before I went on, and then when I was talking to Charlie, then I heard his English accent, and I was like, oh, wow.
I guess apparently we don't quite sound American 100%, do we? And that's cool, though. You know why? Because I don't think it takes away from the character, to be honest with you. I don't think the performance lacks, you know, despite the fact that he talks like himself. I'm like, you know what, it's cool. And let's face it, the chicks don't care because they just stare at him anyways. I shouldn't say that. I actually do pay attention because I'm a writer. If it wasn't for that, I probably would just gawk at him, too.
But then, you know who, not last but not least, we got to talk about Tommy. Tommy Flanagan.
Tommy Flanagan. I saw him in person in passing.
Boy, he's a
Let
great
me tell
guy.
you something. And not only that, I can remember watching him in Braveheart with Mel Gibson.
Braveheart, Gladiator.
Oh,
boy.
Talk about major productions. This is a class act. And the thing is that he's got that, to me, he's got that rugged look. You know what I mean? It's not just on how he presents himself line-wise. Yeah. It's how he presents himself, his presence.
Yeah, he's a rugged individual.
Oh, yeah, I imagine so, definitely. I'm kind of afraid to, ever meet him. I mean, like I said, I saw him in passing. I didn't have time to wait because there's 7,000 people that want to meet him at these shows, right? So I'm like, I could wait, or I could just stand here and look at him. So I chose to stand there and look at him. I'm like, I'll be damned. He looks just the same on the TV, obviously, as he does standing here at the show or whatever have you.
And he acts the same way.
Does he really?
Yes, he's the same way with anybody and everybody.
Okay.
He's really open to talk to anybody. I spent, I don't know, a couple hours just talking to Tommy, just him and I on the set because we were all waiting for something else to happen, and he'd given me, I had gotten the opportunity to talk to him about because he'd asked me about the little scar I had on my face.
Okay.
And so we started talking back and forth, and he talked to me about what you see on him, and there's other things that are on his body that you'll never show, but he'd talk to me, and he's gone through some rough things in life, and he's from that whole back Ireland.
Oh, right.
Yes, and that's where all that came from. Was back there that you see on his face and
on his face. That's kind of what I
Yeah.
figured. That's what I thought. How cool is that? What a neat story. Thank you for sharing that. That's really cool.
It's not a neat story to know exactly what's happened, but but what he's gone through and to live and work in the industry and
right
after a trauma that he's gone through. Yeah, because there's a serious trauma that's involved with all that, and it was kind of neat that I was privy to stand there and the man tell me about it.
That's cool. And the other thing too is, and I guess maybe I'm taking a liberty by saying this, but in my opinion, just in watching him in various projects besides Sons of Anarchy too, I believe personally he's not defined by the scars that are there. I mean, I know that we recognize him in part because he has that there, but I would still know who he was. I would still like his performances. I don't think he's defined by that. Same thing with, I have a dear friend who's in a wheelchair. I don't even see the wheelchair anymore. I mean, I think a lot of times people get fixated on it.
He's just a great actor.
Right. That's my point.
He's a great actor.
He's defined. Exactly. That's exactly right. Cool. Okay. Now I have two more things to ask you, and then our time is up already. Where the hell did all this time go?
Wow, is it?
Yeah. This is cool. You know what's a good interview when people are like, oh, we're just kind of talking along. Now, I'm a little disappointed because it's just you and I in the fence post here, and people are either too afraid to call in or they don't have anything to say, but that's on them. I'm not going to complain because I got a time alone with you. How many women can say they get time alone with you, so to speak? So, there you go. I wanted to touch on, obviously, in case people don't know, that I know that a good majority of your acting career has found you within the parameters of dramatic roles. Now, in case those don't know out there, I'm going to cite some of these, which are CSI Las Vegas, The Mentalist, Dexter, Law and Order, NCIS, and Grey's Anatomy. Now, did you actually shoot most of those prior to doing Sons of Anarchy, or was Sons first and then you reverted to these? Just so I understand the order.
Sons was first.
It was.
From Sons, pretty much all of the crew got all of us guys on bikes. We'd gotten called from CSI Las Vegas to do a part as a gang called the Las Vegas Blasters.
Okay.
And that's when, and I had watched CSI Las Vegas before, and I remember the other actor that played Grissom. So when I saw the new actor, Lawrence Fishburne, I recognized him, and I'm like, you know, who's this guy? What part of he's coming into? So that's when he taken over this part for the other actor of Grissom, and I got to meet Lawrence Fishburne, and he was I guess that was one of the beginnings of him taking over the show. But we had the episode was where one of our members was an undercover cop, and the club finds out, and the club kills him in a bar. And we're all privy to knowing that this is an undercover cop, and the girl he's with is an undercover agent too. And so we're all around a pool table waiting for him to walk by, and we know what's going on, and we kill him in the bar. And that's how the opening starts. But
oh my God.
Yeah, but then the police show up, and we're all like running out the back door, and we're all trying to get on our bikes in this giant parking lot full of motorcycles, and they had one guy take off, and he crashes into one of the police cars and flies over the back trunk, which was a stunt guy. And, yeah, that was pretty neat, because we hadn't had that much excitement, next to, with some gun shooting with Sons, but all of us, taking the guy out in the bar and then running out the back door, yeah. So the CSI episode for a lot of us lasted about a week, and
wow.
Yeah, we had gotten it was real neat because we got to do like a drug deal with a large truck full of cocaine in a steel mill, and yeah.
By chance, might you have any potential for reoccurring roles on any of these, do you think?
Well, I did CSI Las Vegas twice. The last time I was an inmate in one of their California jails that they had rented out. And so we were an inmate on that. But I hadn't been back on The Mentalist, which Simon was he was a great guy. He enjoyed he came out and took pictures with all of us. There were bikers on the episode. Yeah, Simon was a great guy.
And hot, just saying. Sorry. I know all of them. I can't help it. It's one of those things. And do you know Rolando Molina?
Who?
Rolando Molina. He was on the show, actually. He was on Sons of Anarchy. And he's also, I can't believe you don't know him. You know everyone. He just started a stint on Dexter just the other day, as a matter of fact.
I probably know him. A lot of times we know each other by face and not name, or,
Oh, I imagine.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay, just throwing that one out there. I want to know, and I've asked this before, do you ever get frustrated by thinking, oh, my God, I'm going to be constantly typecast forever? No one's ever going to put me in a role that doesn't involve me being on a motorcycle? Or are you okay with that? I mean, I guess some people are. Or maybe I should ask that instead.
No, I'm okay with it. I enjoy being I enjoyed being a biker on, the shows. I really enjoy it.
Cool. Very cool.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, in terms of, and this is my only other question I have relative to this, as far as the production and the scheduling, like let's say, for instance, Dexter's obviously a Showtime production. So clearly Showtime as compared to obviously something such as, network television, including FX, things like that. Is it that varied as far as the scheduling and the production and things like that, or is it relatively similar, despite the fact that it's Showtime? Because I was wondering that might be a little different.
Well, as some of us would how we categorize the different shows, it's actually kind of funny, but it's your craft services.
Oh my God! See, I've heard this before, but it comes down to food. Is that it?
It really does.
That's sad.
If the show is real cheap, their craft service is not, It really comes down to all of us standing around eating their food.
Nice. Very nice. Now you've all heard it. This is what we all want to do, get into entertainment because they will feed us well. That's great.
Yes,
Wonderful.
because lunch comes around. If they have a good budget, they have a guy cooking, and he's asking you if you want lemon chicken or fish.
Oh my God! Listen to this, Chaz. So, folks, listen up. Make sure that you're obviously checking out all these shows because obviously these are all popular. We all know them, and coincidentally, just as a side note, also if all of you haven't seen the Tom Hanks movie Larry Crown, Mr. Tommy Gunn is in that as well. So definitely make it a point to go out and rent that because I haven't seen that in a while. I have seen it, but I just haven't seen it in a while. So I got to go back and rent it just to see where you are.
Tom
Hanks.
Looking
like, where is he? Oh, he's the man. Let me tell you.
I'm at the end of that. Yeah.
See, I knew it. He's like every woman's token husband. I mean, he is nice. He's not too hot looking. He's like perfect. And one of the best actors I've ever seen of today's generation. And I can say that just by every body of work I've ever watched with him. He is amazing. Oh my God.
He really is.
We could do like 4 hours on him.
Oh, because there was myself, a couple other people from Sons. He actually picked all of us that were going to be on his film. And we were in front of a tattoo shop, and I had my bike up on the sidewalk, and I'm sitting next to my bike when Tom goes by on his moped, and he waves to us, and we wave back.
Right.
But when we showed up in the morning on the first day of filming, us from Sons, we pull up and we park. We see, we kind of hang out with each other. So we see Tom about a block away down the sidewalk at the corner. So we're standing there, we're all, back and forth, hey, there's Tom, And so Tom starts walking towards us up the sidewalk. And so we're all just kind of standing there, and Tom walks all the way up to us and goes, hi, guys, thanks for working on my movie for me. And we're just like, yeah. And he introduced himself to us, and we're just like, wow.
Oh, how neat. That's awesome. That really is awesome. Because, wow.
And the best part was so we take a break the first day. So we go back for craft services, and they had king crab legs. So we knew it was a good. But we all, all of us that were, all of us that showed up, as the biker extras, we sat because they rented out this giant school, or it was a church in Pasadena for their base camp. And so we were sitting off in this grass. We had some tables, and there was a little waterfall. And Tom walks up to us and goes, hey, guys, can I sit and eat with you guys?
Oh, my God.
Yeah. We're just like, here, dude, sit down.
How cool is that, man?
So Tom was sitting there having lunch with us all and just chit-chatting away like a normal guy.
That's it. I'm telling you right now, I want your life. I don't care. I'll take the bad stuff. Well, maybe not the incarceration. Maybe not the accident.
I will say, Julia Roberts, she was really nice too, but she had lunch in her trailer.
Wow. Okay, so she kind of went like half a point down there, but okay, fine. We still love her because, well, she's amazing.
Yeah, she got dropped off with her. The black Hummer would drop her off when she was doing her parts, and then take her back to the trailer.
God,
but she was really
nice.
Oh my
gosh. Sure. That's awesome. My goodness. Okay. Now, I want you not to forget about asking this, and I want to tell everybody this because I know they're paying attention to me right now. Obviously, of course, Tommy Gunn is on Facebook 2 different ways. Obviously, your personal page, and then, of course, Tommy Gunn has an actual face page entitled, of course, Tommy Gunn Fan Page, if I could talk. I know that you have a LinkedIn profile, and I know that you can be followed on Twitter at Tommy Gunn X, and that's Gunn, G-U-N-N, and then a big X, obviously. That's how to reach you social media-wise. Now, there's only 2 more details we need to finish up before I let you go. First and foremost, this is like the most important question I'm going to ask all night. Okay, so pay attention very closely. Every time I come on this show, I get 1 inch closer, and I know Tommy Gunn is going to get me 1 inch closer. I'm a single girl, unlike yourself, and there happens to be an individual that I know rides, that I know has been on a motorcycle, and I just know he's a version of a bad boy. And I'm thinking every way sideways try to get a date with this guy. So I keep asking everyone the magical question, which is, might you know this guy? So here I am on radio again thinking Tommy Gunn's going to help me out here.
Okay.
My celebrity crush. He's on my page every day. I'm sure you've heard of Kiefer Sutherland.
Yes.
Yes. Kiefer Sutherland, I have been told, Kiefer Sutherland has been on a motorcycle, and I have been told that he rides. And I'm thinking to myself, when I come to California, what would a smart woman do? If I want to just get a date with the guy, want to impress him a little bit.
Get a date with the guy. Well, you got to find the guy first, don't you?
I know, right? It's not like he's the guy. I mean, it's not like he's the average guy, right? We're just talking about this screen legend that's been on all these shows. Leave it to me to pick that guy. I'm like, well, coincidentally, he rides a motorcycle. Doesn't that help? I'm grasping.
You know, that's new to me because I didn't even know Keith rode a bike. And I've
really?
never
Seriously?
seen him in town.
Really?
I've liked
I've
liked him since I've seen him in Young Guns.
See, and the thing is, somebody actually had tipped me off and said, look, on the Internet, there's been, different sightings, and it's true. It's actually cited online that he actually has ridden a motorcycle before. He is a bad boy. I mean, obviously he's been busted for drunk driving. He's been busted for this and that. But what I don't think people realize is, I mean, he could walk on water. I mean, I think he's just truly amazing. And he's my Charlie Hunnam. I mean, that's embarrassing to say. But it's true. He's my Charlie Hunnam, and I'm like, I'll just keep asking everyone. And, Rolando, who was on our show, he was on Touch with him, literally on his program Touch. And I'm like, wow. Yeah, one biker's got to know, right? But apparently Tommy's not going to help me out because he doesn't know him.
No, I don't know him.
Oh, back to square one. Oh, that's all right. I'll forgive you. That's okay. I still think you're all right. All right. Well,
I will tell you, if you come out here and you're really trying to find somebody, you need to get, there's two places that you go to out here, and that's the Rock Store or the Cantina, Sagebrush Cantina.
Oh. Okay.
And that's the two places that mostly people, ride to, like Jay Leno. He shows up at Rock Store, and that's our two main places a lot of people go to on the weekends out here.
Oh, cool. I will definitely check that out, actually. I'm just planning my trip as we speak, so I think I may be hitting California in less than a month. We'll have to see how it goes with this show and the other show and 50,000 things. So we only have one more detail to tidy up, and then I have to let you go.
Okay.
It is customary on whether it's on my show, which is Sin's Chat Corner, or on Sam Crow Radio, I do the same thing at the end of every interview. And this is my 30 seconds, which I warned you about. This is my 30 seconds to tell you what I think of you. Okay. So I hope you're sitting down because I'm going to say exactly what I think of you, Mr. Tough Biker Guy. This just gives me 30 seconds to say what I want. So just listen before you criticize. So, folks, this is my actual assessment of Tommy Gunn after approximately almost an hour and 40 minutes. That's a good sign because I didn't hang up, so that's good. This is what I want you folks to know. Again, I revert back to my original position on this, which is the man that is this pretty, for lack of a better term, and hopefully Denise won't kick my ass. He is a pretty person, but he's not pretty just because of the looks factor. He's pretty because of the fact that he donates his time to charity. He's pretty because of the fact that he not only gives back to the community, but he gives back to himself on a regular basis. And by that, what I mean is I think he takes true joy and pleasure out of participating in each and every role that he takes in, whether he is going to be a biker one day, whether he's going to be a director next week. Granted, he's had his share of dings and bumps and rolls along the way, but what I can tell you is that 100%, without a doubt, and surprisingly, I might add, I'm happy to discover that you're a regular, average, ordinary guy, despite all the hoopla that goes around you. You're genuine, you're polite, you're friendly, you're candid, you're intelligent. I think that despite all the downfalls that you've had, you've kind of turned it around and make it into a positive situation. I like your attitude. I like your demeanor. I like your gal. I think she's very sweet. And I hope and pray that I will know you for a significantly long time because I truly find you to be a treasure. That's what I think of Tommy Gunn.
Wow, thank you.
Are you okay? I'm sorry.
Yeah, I am. No,
okay,
thank you very much.
Just checking. I didn't want you to get all upset with me, like, oh, my God, listen to her. But I call it as I see it. If you knew me well, you'd know I don't bullshit on any of my shows. I tell you what I think for a reason. And because hopefully, 1,000 or 2,000 or however many people listen to this show will see you and hear you as I do, because I think that's very important. That's why we do this show. And I will be eternally pissed if you don't agree to come back to my show again, please.
Oh, I'd love to. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And hopefully I'll get to meet you when you come out here.
Oh, definitely, without a doubt, obviously. We can certainly stay in contact. I'm venturing it'll be within the next month. I just kind of have to see how 50 of my other projects are doing first and get through with my son's condition here today and tomorrow, and we'll kind of take it from there. The child takes precedence.
Okay.
Yeah, we're crossing fingers right now. So I'll let you get back to your evening, and then I can get back to my staying up all night with my child. So this has been the highlight. Thank you, sir, for making my day. I appreciate it more than you know.
Well, thank you, and hi to all the fans out there.
Oh, great. Well, we'll be talking soon, dear.
Okay. Have a great night.
Take care. You too.
Bye.
All right, folks. Thank you so much for tuning in and listening to our elongated interview. Sorry about that. We usually try to keep it to the 90-minute camp, but unfortunately we didn't. And honestly, I don't feel so bad about it. This truthfully has been one of the highlights of my day, and I certainly meant everything I said there. Did not want to forget, again, to remind everyone, Tommy is on 2 different places on Facebook. It is first Tommy Gunn. Second of all, Tommy Gunn fan page. Both of those, either one, check him out and like him on either or friend him. You can go ahead and follow all his activities on Twitter, which is at Tommy, and that's Gunn, Gunnx. Also, he has a linked profile out there. And certainly, like I mentioned, all of those dramatic roles that he's been in, including Sons of Anarchy, you can easily go, if I'm not mistaken, I know Blockbuster.com remains on some of them. You can go online to a lot of these new venues, sometimes even Netflix has got this kind of stuff. So it would behoove you to spend the time just to check them out. And again, I reiterate, I was pleasantly surprised to find out all sorts of new and interesting things about this gentleman. And like I said, I'm duly impressed. So kudos to you, man. And thanks so much for coming on the show. We do not have our scheduled guest and scheduling as of yet for next week. So certainly make sure that you go ahead and tune in onto our page, which is blogtalkradio.com, and that's /Sam, S-A-M, Crow, C-R-O, radio, and that's all one word. You can also check us out on Twitter with that same handle, which is at Sam Crow Radio. Additionally, we also have a Facebook page. Duly named the same thing, of course. Go ahead and check it out and like it. All details for all shows are usually listed there, and a lot of times you can find us on Crow Readers for Sons of Anarchy on the Facebook. So I again want to say first and foremost, thanks once again, as always, to my brother in arms and my partner, Mr. Sam Crow. Thanks for organizing this and getting Tommy Gunn onto our show. Thank you so much to all the sisters that listen in, and to want to take a moment to just say to all of you, to the many people that have been involved with personally contacting me today, because it's been an extremely difficult day for myself personally. So I want to say I appreciate all of your love, all of your concern, all of the well wishes that you've sent to me in the regard of my child, both my daughter and, of course, obviously with my son. So I appreciate it more than I can tell you, and I am very, very grateful to have all of you in my life. So, again, thank you so much. Please feel free to stay in touch at any given point in time. So you all have yourself a wonderful evening, and we'll be touching base again sometime next week. Thanks.
Napa know-how. A Napa guy knows more isn't always better, unless we're talking about full-size vans. These beasts do more than get you from A to B. They have so much space a man can live in it. With shag carpeting, water bed, and a sweet lava lamp, these mobile abodes have all the comforts of home. With quality parts and plenty of Napa know-how, you can keep the original tiny house running longer, stronger. That's Napa know-how. Napa know-how.